questions, or at least as many questions as we can get to in the next hour. Let's talk about a recent development. If you've tried to do anything with the Social Security Administration over the last few months, you know it's almost impossible, super frustrating. Some people have had good luck with it. It's a hit and miss, but a lot of people have been waiting on the phone for hours and, can't get into an office, can't get their claims processed, can't get whatever they need done. But the current leadership of the Social Security Administration came out recently and said, "Oh yeah, we're doing a phenomenal job. We are just, we're just killing it." They said their wait time in terms of phones is under 8 minutes. So all you have to do is wait on the phone for 8 minutes, and 78%, answer rate, and everything is going in. When you go into an office, the average wait time is 6 minutes. And yeah, they are just doing an unbelievable job. And then some senators, including myself, said, wait a second, that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So Senator Elizabeth Warren said, hey, OIG, the Office of the Inspector General, the watchdog, you need to go out there and check, because we think these numbers are manipulated. And so we're going to talk about that today a little bit before I get into the live Q&A. And I can save the Office of the Inspector General tons of money and time. I'll tell you exactly how these numbers are manipulated. I know they're manipulated. And I ran the third business Social Security office in the country, if you're new to my channel. So I've done this for a few decades, and we had some of the best customer service in our particular office. And so we know how to correctly work the system. Okay, so a little background. Social Security has always been bad recently in terms of, let me pull up the chart here, in terms of customer service. Social Security, it's even before Elon Musk and Doge and the current administration, it was at a 50-year low in terms of staffing. And this was a conscious decision by politicians on both sides. One side really wanted it, the other side was too incompetent to fix it, but it didn't get fixed. So the idea is to get you to hate Social Security. Talk about, it's going bankrupt, it's not going to be there for you, the customer service is terrible. All of that is designed, and they're doing a phenomenal job to get you to hate Social Security, to just throw up your hands and say, forget about it. What's the other alternative? Well, guess what? The other alternative is for us to give it all, the trillions of dollars and everything, over to Wall Street, our buddies on Wall Street, so we can make all kinds of commissions and kickbacks and golden parachutes and all the rest of it. That's been the policy. That's been the intent for decades. And if you look at my YouTube channel, I've got the policy, the plan that was written in the 1980s that's expressly talk about that. So that's been, this has been going perfectly. And now we're kind of at crunch time here, because as of today, this month, 88 more checks are going to be at 100%. So if you're receiving a Social Security check, then you're continue to get 100% what you are eligible for. But after 88 checks, we're going to get a 23% cut. Why? Because politicians have failed to address the issue. And it's an easy issue to address, but they just failed to do it because they want to give that money over to Wall Street. So this has been a long time coming. And then when Elon Musk and Doge and the current administration got in there, they just made it 10 times worse. So you've got all these people that came in and they immediately vacated, fired, moved out, pushed out, voluntold, as we used to say in the Marine Corps, to leave the premises. Social Security, thousands of people were sent away. And they said, we're going to make it more efficient. And so, these are CEOs of multi-billion-dollar businesses that are now in charge of Social Security. And, you think they would be kind of smart, but they said, okay, we're going to fire a whole bunch of people, and then we're going to make it then we'll make it more efficient. Okay. Shouldn't be the opposite way. You go ahead and make it more efficient. And then when you don't need the staff anymore because it's more efficient, because whatever, computer systems or whatever, then you go ahead and start letting people off. But they did it the opposite way. So they're either super incompetent and, don't know how to do anything, or they're super competent and they know exactly that's the intention, is to get rid of as many as people and then say, oh my gosh, the system is broken. We tried our best to fix it. We've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas. And we manipulated the numbers to kind of, just kind of look good in terms of PR. But there it is. And it's just time to go ahead and give it to our buddies on Wall Street. And, the guy that's running Social Security right now is a Wall Street guy. So anyway, so how are they manipulating the numbers? So OIG, the Office of Inspector General, politicians, here's how they do it. Okay, so in Social Security, when you run an office, it's kind of like a whack-a-mole situation. You ever seen those games where you've got the mallet and the little whack-a-mole pops up in different little holes and stuff, and you whack it here and you whack it there? That's how Social Security offices run. You've got people calling in. You've got people coming in to the office, into the actual office. You've got workloads. And you've got some other stuff, but those are the main things here. So if you want to focus more on answering phones, you take people that are, helping people walk in, or you take people that are processing the workloads. So it's like taking orders. So if you pick up the phone a whole bunch, and you say, oh, okay, yeah, we'll do that. Oh, okay, all right, we'll look into that. We'll take care of that. Oh, okay, you need to file for retirement benefits. You need to file for disability benefits. You need to add this medical record to your disability file. You need to change your address. You need to do this, that, the other. Okay, no problem. We answered your phones. But now there's nobody on the back end to actually do that stuff. It just continues to pile up and pile up and pile up. And then after a while, your bosses, whoever is in charge of that office of the country, says, okay, looks like the phones are going good. Now the whack-a-mole on the other side, and then you start processing the workloads. And then you need to start. So you can, with the low staffing that Social Security is, you can't do all three perfectly. So they're just basically moving people around. And one of the problems is the people they are moving around, I've heard from the inside, people have reached out to me, old coworkers at Social Security, and said, hey, they're just moving people around. They're shuffling, the chairs on the Titanic. They are just taking people that shouldn't really be answering phones because their specialties are in other places, and they're having them answering phones just so they'll answer phones. And unfortunately, we're going to see a lot of people that are not receiving, the help they need, the information they need, the answers that they actually need. That's one of the reasons I'm doing this channel here, is to make sure y'all get everything you're eligible for. Another way they're manipulating this whole thing is AI. So they've stuck AI in this. And if you've called Social Security recently, you can see that, AI probably picks up. And you talk to it and you tell it what you want, and I've tried it a bunch of times, and it just sends you down a rabbit hole, and it repeats the same garbage, and it said, yeah, I want to talk to a human being, and it repeats the whole stuff. Okay, it sounds like you were taken care of. Bye. So if you call Social Security and you get one of these AI things and you just start yelling at it and, it doesn't answer your question, you just hang up. And Social Security, the powers that be now, are considering that a successful call. Look, we just answer that person's call. We've got this other person on, wait for an hour, but we answered this other person's call in 2 minutes, and we solved their problem. No, you didn't. They just hung up because they were frustrated. So they take those two times together and say, oh, a 30-minute answer rate, right? And then they do some more AI. So that's how it comes down to 8 minutes, is because people are just getting frustrated, calling multiple times and getting that stupid AI, or nobody's picking up. And when you hang up, I think they're considering that a successful call, and therefore, you've got 8 minutes. They're also playing around with the numbers in terms of walk-in traffic as well. And this is an easy one to figure out. They're making appointments. Pretty much a lot of office out there, the only time you can get in there is an appointment. And when you have an appointment, it's pretty much zero wait time. Those numbers, those numbers shouldn't be factored in there. So it's people without an appointment. If you have to wait 30 minutes or 40 minutes or an hour or something, then that should be the wait time. But what they're doing is most of these offices are appointment only. And when you have an appointment, you show up, they call you, and that's zero wait time. And they're manipulating those numbers, it looks like, to play with it, to give good PR. And there's also these Social Security offices. This is the last point, and then I'll get into your questions. Social Security offices are broken up into different programs, the Title II, Title 16, customer service representatives. When I worked, before I became a manager, I was a Title II. That means you're doing retirement benefits, survivor benefits, SSDI, Medicare. And then Title 16 does SSI, Supplemental Security Income, the welfare-based program. If you put SSI people on the phones, they're not going to be able to help with retirement, survivor benefits, Medicare. They don't know it. You put Title II on the phones and they get an SSI call, they're not going to be able to help. They don't know really SSI as well as they should. They know general, but unfortunately, you're going to get a lot of misinformation out there, and there's a lot of people going to not get the benefits they are eligible for that they need. So that is a big issue. And then there's one trick I always try to include this when we're talking about this type of issue. It's called protective filing. So if you or someone out there are trying to get into Social Security, but you can't get into it because you want to file for retirement benefits or survivor benefits, or you want to get your Medicare started, and you call and call and call and can't get in there, and then you can't get in until the next month or the month after or something like that, make sure you tell them that, hey, I called 2 months ago and y'all didn't pick up the phone. I tried to go down to the local Social Security office, but the guard wouldn't let me in. So y'all are keeping me from my benefits. I wanted to start this stuff a month ago, 2 months ago, but y'all weren't there for me. Make sure you tell them that, because they can go back and give you that retroactive benefits. One of the problems right now is people with Medicare, that's okay with, money. They'll make sure they fix it and give you that back pay. But people that are, working and then they stop work or they lose their job and they need to go ahead and sign up for Medicare, they're part of that special enrollment period. 8 months after you lose your health care from current work, you can sign up for Part B and you won't get any penalty whatsoever. I wouldn't recommend waiting 8 months, but so what you're supposed to do is, if you're going to be losing health insurance from work, yours or your spouse's, and you need to go ahead and sign up for Part B, then you contact Social Security and get that process done. Unfortunately, it's going to take some time because there's no staff there, but if you can't get in, you just might not have health care for a month or 2 months, and that's going to be an issue. People not going to be able to get their prescriptions and all the rest of it. So if that's you, if it's someone that you really need to fight, you go down to the local Social Security office, don't wait on the phone, go down to the local Social Security office and tell the guard that the guards work for Federal Protective Services. They're not Social Security employees, but you just tell them that, hey, I just lost my health insurance and I need to sign up for Medicare immediately. I need it to start in 2 weeks, whatever, because I need my prescriptions. I need to go see my doctor. I have to go, whatever. And if they don't let you in, they better let you in. Tell them this is a life or death issue. If you get your prescriptions in time, then you're going to be in trouble. And then say, hey, I'm going to call my politician, or I'm going to call the local news. It'd be a PR issue, and the guard better let you in. I'm sure they will let you in if you say it right. So that's an important thing that a lot of people miss. Okay, let's get into a bunch of questions here on all things Social Security. Let's see. We will be lucky to see a 2.4% raise. Hey, Bella. But Medicare bumping up to possibly 206. Yeah, we don't have the numbers. We should have the numbers on COLA. The COLA traditionally comes out in the first week of October, and about the same time-ish, usually a few weeks after, the Medicare numbers come up. So we will see. Yeah, there's all kinds of speculation about COLA, but we don't know until the final numbers are in. Kathy, collect my own Social Security. I'm 62. Husband's on SSD, so Social Security Disability Insurance. At 67, can I get part of his added to mine? I don't want to be able to get his full amount if something happened to him. I hope I get answers. Okay, so you collect your benefits at 62. He's husband's on SSDI. So yeah, you have to start benefits on your own record, and then you file for benefits a spouse on his record. But because you're 62, you're going to get a reduced amount. So technically, you're supposed to file for benefits because he's receiving benefits. You're married. It's called deemed filing. So you kind of have to. Sometimes, a lot of times, Social Security misses this. So I guess you can, make your decision. But yeah, if his benefit amount is less than half of yours, then you can collect benefits on his record, but you have to collect benefits on your own record first. If something happened to him, then your benefit amount as a surviving spouse is determined by how old you are when that happens. So if that happens and you are past your full retirement age, you'll receive 100% of whatever his check was. So let's see what else we got here. I think you said before that if we served in the military, we need to tell them when we file for Social Security. Why is this? Did they mess up the earnings record, serve 79 to 92? Yeah, just in those early years, part of the old civil service retirement system that pretty much ended-ish in the early 1980s. Federal military were also part of that, and they didn't pay into Social Security. So what Congress did later is said, we'll give those people a break. So yeah, when you file for any type of Social Security benefits, retirement, disability, you just tell them that you served in the military from this time to this time, and they add it onto your record. It's usually, it's not much. They basically add earnings. Like if you served in, let's say, 1979, they add an extra $300 as if you earned $300 a quarter in 1979. And so that translates, to maybe $1 or a few bucks or something more on your monthly benefit now. So it's not a whole heck of a lot, but hey, $1's a buck, and it's your buck, right? I just retired after 48 years, and I'm having problems getting into an office. Yeah, you and everybody else. And some people come in here and say, oh, Ed's full of BS. I just called and I got in, no problem. I went to a local office and got in. And it's like, okay, well, yeah. Brad Pitt has a great head of hair, which proves there is no such thing as male pattern baldness. So, so you just have to keep fighting, unfortunately. Call your politicians, if you so choose, and say, hey, because this is, you paid for this help. You paid for all this help. So when you paid FICA taxes all those years, it was, go to your retirement or disability, survivors, all the rest of it. And part of that, very, very small percentage of that was supposed to go to the resources to get you help, the people to answer the phone when you needed help navigating the bureaucracy and getting what you're eligible for. There was supposed to be someone there to help you, and you paid for that help. But politicians have chosen not to provide that help because they want to make as many roadblocks and have you hate Social Security. So you will throw the baby out with the bathwater and just go ahead and say, forget about it. Just go ahead. And so, they're failing, engineered failure. And so you just go ahead and throw up your hands. So you just have to fight. So if you're having problems getting into an office, or problems as in getting down there yourself, or they won't let you into the office, they're supposed to be moving to a all appointment thing in November, which is going to be a nightmare. That's going to hurt everything a lot more, and I can go into detail on that, why it is, but that's going to mess everything up for a while. It might eventually work, but it's going to mess everything up for many, many, many months. So if you can also file online, but if people say, well, just file online, forget about this. Well, if you file online, someone has to look at it on the other end. And the people that used to go through those claims and make sure they're legitimate, make sure they're not fraudulent, make sure all the documentation is correct, make sure, you answered everything correctly, you want someone to review it. And the people that are actually supposed to review that might be put on, reassigned to get phones. So, yeah. My local office is good. They called me, and when I took documents in, they told me the case could be processed. Awesome. Good deal. Good deal. Ed, you spend so much time and put so much effort into the site. How do you make any money doing this? Well, Chapter definitely helps out. They support the website for those new people. I've got a website. It's mygovexpert.com. And you can go in there and retirement, disability, survivor. You could get information on Medicare, overpayments, living overseas, veterans, and all that information. I got a bunch of calculators there. It's all free. The only thing that is charged for is I've got a former Social Security expert that does one-on-one calls, and she charges for those one-on-one calls, but everything else is 100% free. And because of people like Chapter Medicare and also our other sponsor, David Dufour, who does final expense. So if you're looking for burial insurance, final expense, make sure you reach out to him and see if it's something that you need. Bisignano is flooding lying joke. Yeah, he has gone on a few times onto the news and said, oh yeah, it's no problem. Yeah, we're going to solve Social Security. We're going to make sure those checks aren't cut in the future. And because we are a doing administration, but zero, they have not taken any action right now to make sure Social Security cuts are not happening in the future. Zero. And that's not anything the Social Security Commissioner can do anyway. That has to be done in Congress. And there's nothing really, there are things in Congress. There's a Social Security Expansion Act. Bernie Sanders put one up to where it would raise the FICA cap. So those people that are making over $176,100 pay Social Security like the rest of us. They don't. They stop paying into Social Security. The FICA part of the Social Security part of FICA after $176,100. So if you're making $5 million per year, I'll throw up the numbers here. If you're making $500,000 a year, you're paying about 2.18% into Social Security. If you're like the rest of us and you're making under $176,100, you're paying 6.2%. So if you're making 5 million, you're probably paying, 0.1% or something, if you're paying it all, because a lot of money comes from capital gains and stuff. So yeah, so his act in Congress, his law says, hey, we need to raise the FICA cap. Everybody needs to pay the same. And then if we are able to do that, Social Security is not going to have to cut benefits in the future, and actually can give more money, about $200 more to those people that need it. But I don't see that really going anywhere, unfortunately. So I am no longer able to get into my Social Security account through my old ID account. I live overseas and spoke to the FBU unit at the embassy in Madrid, and the rep was no help at all. Anyone else having the issue? Yeah, the ID Me, it's difficult, and if you're overseas, it's even more difficult because there's a lot of overseas bad actors that have been trying to get in the Social Security system, and so yeah, you can't do a lot of stuff overseas. Sometimes you can get around it, but it's difficult. And the people at the FBU, the Federal Benefits Unit, there's only a handful of those throughout the country. And in those, there's only one Social Security employee. Everybody else is just not Social Security employees. They're just regular embassy staff that helps out on, putting stuff together, workloads or stuff. But yeah, there's only one Social Security employee. And usually going, that type of thing, it's difficult for them to do because they don't do it very often. So yeah, you just have to keep battling, unfortunately. Darla, I am on SSDI and 61 years young. I like it. When I turn 65, do I have to call the Social Security office about my Medicare, or will everything stay the same? Okay, so if you're on SSDI, you are going to get Medicare earlier than 65, because when you're on Social Security disability insurance, you get Medicare after being on SSDI for 24 months. So the 25th month, you'll get your Medicare. So before 65. But one thing I still recommend do something at 65, because here's how it goes. So you're going to get Medicare after being on SSDI, not SSI, not supplemental security income. It has to be SSDI. So SSDI, you paid into Medicare all those years. When you're on Social Security disability, you get it after 24 months. And then you have to find a plan to cover all the gaps, because original Medicare is awesome, but there are gaps there. And so people get one or two options to cover those gaps. Like the big one is the Part B coinsurance. So if you go to the doctor and the doctor charges you $100,000 for a Band-Aid, you have to pay 20%, $20,000. So if you got that money, then you're good. But what people do to cover those gaps is they get a Medicare supplement plan, also called a Medigap plan, one of the Plan N or the Plan G, or they get a Medicare Advantage plan. For you, probably the only thing you can get is a Medicare Advantage plan. That's probably 90% true. If you're in a particular state, you might be able to, but most states, all you can get is a Medicare Advantage plan. Because your state doesn't mandate that health insurance company to give people Medicare supplement plans if you're under 65, because the health insurance company doesn't want to give it to you because, you're on disability and you cost them a lot more money. So they've worked with your state politicians to make sure they don't have to give it to you. So the only thing you can get is Medicare Advantage. So you just get the best Medicare Advantage plan you can get, your physicians, your prescriptions, all that. Make sure you get it. And you can reach out to Chapter and they can help you 100% for free. And they, again, support this channel. But when you turn 65, then you can get a Medicare supplement plan, or at least check it out and see if it's, it's an option you want to switch to. And they can't deny you. They can't charge you extra than anybody else. They can't do, can't force you to go through, health underwriting and ask you a bunch of medical questions. You're 65, you're in that golden window. So for now, you will get your card, your package in the mail from Medicare a couple of months before your 25th month. So make sure Social Security has your correct address. And that if Social Security has your correct address, then Medicare has your correct address. So, didn't the administration fire all the OIG positions? Yes, that's a scary thought, right? Yeah, that's one of the first things the current administration did when they took in. They fired all the Office of the Inspector General. So the person now, Michelle Anderson, I think it is, she is kind of an acting person. So yeah, they put some of their own people in there. But the current person is a Social Security person, so it's not a Doge. The OIG is not a Doge person. So I think the investigation that they do on the wait times and see how the current administration is manipulating those wait times, I think they'll come out with good, accurate information. But once they come out with it, they might be Bureau of Labor Statistics. Well, the person, will want to come out with accurate information, but if she's scared of losing her job, she just might, self-censor because she saw what happened to the Bureau of Labor Statistics when you come out with numbers that the administration doesn't like. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but y'all know what is going to happen. I've already given you a secret inner prelude to what the report is going to say. It's going to say they were manipulating the numbers. Yeah. There was in Arizona, in Phoenix, Arizona, quite a few years ago, there was the person that was in charge of the VA hospital in Phoenix was doing this. He was manipulating the numbers to make it look like their hospital was doing really, really good in terms of taking care of veterans. And yeah, that was a national issue. When that happened, all the managers in the country, were put on the phone and said, hey, don't do this. Don't manipulate the numbers. The numbers are the numbers are the numbers. And which makes no sense. If you manipulate the numbers, if you have an office that manipulates the numbers to make it look like they're really, really good at customer service and taking care of people, because they have the staff to take care of people, then it's like, oh, okay, when resources do come down, new staffing, which won't, if new resources come down, they're going to look at other offices that are doing terrible, and they're going to ignore you. So it's a terrible thing to manipulate the numbers. You want the numbers to be the numbers. And that way, if there's ever help that comes down from Congress, they can say, oh, okay, you really need help. But if you manipulate the numbers, then they're not going to get help. Yeah, so it's just cutting off your foot there. Both of the parties didn't want to do anything about it because they are both in the pocket of corporations. We need to focus on a third party that is removing the FICA cap in their agenda. Yeah, the third party thing usually dilutes everything else, and it's never proven out to be a good thing. What What we are working on here, and I know it's a little bit late, but I keep adding new resources to it, is a way for us to get together and make both political parties, listen to us. Republicans, Democrats, liberals, conservatives, and that's been the problem, is that we haven't focused our ire on these politicians. It's just been, some people here calling, some people here calling and stuff, and you just can't get over the billions of dollars that the billionaires put into that by just having a few people call. So if anyone is guilty of AI advance, he went around the world to almost threaten Europe to use US for their AI, but Europe told them to take a hike. Yeah. The AI, I think AI, it will help eventually, but I've called the 800 number, the Social Security 800 number, 772-123, a few times, and I've asked it, okay, I need help with this. I need help with this. I need help with overpayments. And it gives you some speech about overpayments. And then you say, well, that's not what I need help with. I need this things of overpayments. And it hears overpayments and it says the same exact thing again. And you just end up higher. It's not there. Relief Warrior, keep in mind, if you're under full retirement age, you do not give 50%. That amount is reduced to, I believe, about 33%. No, don't know for sure. Yeah, it's reduced. Full 30% reduction if you're getting at 62 years old. So, generic, is it true that when you sign up for Social Security, your Part B premiums will be garnished from your Social Security account instead of being paid directly from your bank account? Well, it's not garnish. It's you pay for your Part B premiums. So yes, when you sign up for Social Security benefits, then they'll start taking out of your Social Security check. And they won't, if you've been, paying it from direct deposit or direct, withdrawal, or you've been writing a check every 3 months or something like that, then they will stop that and they automatically take it out of your Social Security check. Yep, that is a fact. Ed, here's some math. All right, 10 people call in and hang up and all call back 10 times each. Your logic is 100 different calls when in fact it is only 10 callers. It goes both ways. Yes, exactly. And Social Security offices, my office used to get that report of the same people calling in. And that's when you knew, because in Social Security, the phone system, when I ran my office, I had 4 monitors. One to do my work, one to watch the phones, one to watch the walk-in, and one to watch the workloads. And so I would sit there all day and, do my work and stuff like that and look over, oh, the phones need help and stuff. Or I'd reach out to, I'd see this particular person on the phone and say, wow, this person has an 8-second, answer rate. So go over there and yeah, the person was hanging up on people or something stupid like that. But yeah, if you get 100 people calling and they just keep calling back and back and back, then your calls go up. And this is a thing that the current administration has announced, is that they've got a lot more calls. And the reason they're getting a lot more calls is because they're not answering the phone the first time. So that messes up everything. And so we used to get reports all the time. We got reports in, if a person came into the office more than twice, we would have to say, hey, why did this person have to come into the office more than twice? And we'd say, oh, they were this, they didn't have the paperwork the first time, or whatever the case may be. Why is your phones spiking like that? And usually you can tell immediately, oh, because y'all are not answering the phones. You don't have enough people on the phones, so move people from other workloads, whack-a-mole, from processing disability and retirement claims, put them on the phones. And then I said, that people are going to wait longer to get their survivor benefits or Medicare and stuff like that. Yes, we know, but we need people on the phones. So it's a whack-a-mole situation. And then you go back and whack that mole, and yeah, it's just back and forth and back. I had a call with Social Security file for retirement. I also told them I wanted to file on my deceased husband's. I was told I had to file for mine first and then wait to be rejected. Wrong. Now, that is 100% wrong. So you knew that, Kelly, because I think you're a regular viewer, perhaps. So you knew that was wrong. And that's another problem is, that they, moved out of the agency, all the senior people. Most of the people that DOJ got rid of were, the really experienced people. And they also got rid of a bunch of new people that were just coming on, which I think those people are going to sue, and it's going to cost everybody a whole bunch more money. So I think Doge and everything is going to cost us taxpayers a lot more money than what they supposedly said they saved. So yeah, so you don't say, I also want to file my deceased husband's. Because you can choose. So if you're going to go into Social Security, you can file, if you're at least, 62 years old, you have the option to file for benefits on your own record or survivor benefits. It's not one and survivor benefits. Maybe that might be an issue there, but you tell them, no, I don't want to file for benefits on my own record. I want to file for benefits on surviving spouse. And then I'm not going to touch my own record. I'm going to wait. It's going to continue to increase until you hit 70 years old. And then in the future, you switch from survivor benefits to benefits on your own record. So had to file on mine first and then wait to be rejected. Yeah, I'm not sure what that means. Rejected. That just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Maybe on disability or something, you want to file for disability on your own benefits because a disabled wouldn't, but even then they wouldn't make you wait. So yeah, that nothing there makes sense, unfortunately. Oh my God, they can mess up a free lunch. I hope it gets resolved soon. Yes. Big D, thank you. With your help, I filed for benefits I didn't even know I was entitled to. Yes, here we go. After 2 visits to my local Social Security office and a phone call from my Social Security, my claim was filed, waiting on approval now. Awesome. And that's one of the main reasons people just don't know that there are these other programs that, you can file for survivor and, don't file on your own. You can file for disabled widow benefits. You can file for independently entitled divorced spouse benefits. So there's so many things out there. It's so complicated, unfortunately. And now because people are not answering the phones and AI can't help you, more and more people are going to lose. So, but remember, Big D, it's not my help. I helped a little bit, but it's all the people that Regina and Bello and Latrice and Chambi and Kitty and Penelope and Be Nice and the rest of the team and the rest of the community that subscribes and likes and share. That's how you were introduced to this channel. Someone pushed a button and sent this to you or liked, and that's how it showed up on your feed or whatever. And that's how you were able to find the channel. So this is a team effort. So team, we helped another one. So y'all did good. Awesome. How long do you have to wait to start getting benefits from my 2-year-old son on my SSDI? It has been since I applied for him. That should start, immediately. So, so you applied for SSDI benefits, and then during the initial application, they ask you, do you have any children under the age of 18 or became disabled before the age of 22? And you told them, hopefully you told them yes. And then they took down that person's information. And then when you're approved for SSDI, sometimes this falls through the cracks, probably even more nowadays because they don't have the staffing. It's not automatic. So it should be automatic, but it's quite often it's not. So you need to reach out and say, hey, remember, I said I have a child. My claim, my SSDI was just approved. Now we have to go ahead and take the application for my son. And you'll do 2 applications. You'll do the application for benefits and you'll do the representative payee application because I'm sure your son is smart, but not smart enough to, go cash checks and stuff like that. So someone have to be the representative payee for your son. So they'll take that application, you or the other parent or whatever the case may be. So, but yeah, you need to get it done. And they will start that check the same month they start your check. So, if you started receiving your check 5 months ago, then once they approve, once they adjudicate his claim, they will give that child 5 months of back pay. So, but yeah, unfortunately, that falls through the cracks sometimes. So you have to follow up on it. I took withdrawal pension distribution lump sum less 9,000 before tax. Do I need to report it to Social Security? I'm on SSDI and nope, has nothing to do with SSDI. It's just a pension distribution lump sum. Then I'm sure the IRS will want to talk to you about it, but but the Social Security, because you're on SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, doesn't matter. Yep, could have been $1 billion. It doesn't affect your Social Security benefits at all. So no problem at all. And even, sometimes I've seen less than 1% of the tax person, whoever you do, actually put that money in the wrong category when you file taxes, and they might put it as earnings, which almost never happens. So just when you file taxes, make sure they put it in the right category. Because if it shows up as earnings, then it's like, hey, you've been working. So just make sure your person, puts it in the right thing. So, Ed, you're a funny guy. Thank you for your time and service. What do you mean by funny? Do I make you laugh? No, don't. Joe Pesci there. So that was a terrible rendition of Joe Pesci. But anyway, my husband is retired and I'm still working. Thinking about retirement. I get his military medical benefits only. When I retire, do I have to sign up for Plan B Medicare? If your husband was in the military, you were in the military. So the old saying in the military, you don't have to do anything in life, but there are repercussions if you don't. So you're going to get his medical benefits. So we're talking about TRICARE for life. If we're talking about TRICARE for life, then yes, TRICARE mandates you to sign up for Part A and Part B. If you're getting VA benefits, which probably not, then you should still check it out. Some people do, some people don't. I always recommend you do, particularly in this environment. And then, whether you need anything else, that's a whole different issue. Medicare Supplement, Medicare Advantage, you can reach out to Chapter at any time. They can help you out. But if you're getting TRICARE for life, then yes, TRICARE. Reach out to TRICARE and double check, but almost perfectly, they require you. What's good for one is good for another, and that means that cream of the crop. Okay, yeah, crop. That's a bad term nowadays with all the farmers out there. It's like, they voted for what they got. Now they're amazed. Bernie Sanders is an angle for all of us. He has to deal with all the devils in MAGA Congress. Yeah, I mean, some people don't like Bernie Sanders, but he, in terms of Social Security and Medicare, he has always been there for Social Security and Medicare. You might not like him in anything else, which more power to you, but in terms of Social Security and Medicare, you cannot say that he hasn't always looked out for Social Security and Medicare and tried to, for 40 years, Congress, our politicians, the one we sent to there to represent us, they have failed to fix Social Security. And now, in a few years, we're going to get our Social Security checks cut because our politicians and us, we have failed. For 40 years, we've been told this for decades, that the time is coming, that iceberg is, 40 miles away, it's 39 miles away. Now it's about 7 miles away. And we need to turn the ship, and we are not turning the ship. So, love for puppies. Does a DAC also go through CDRs? And if they move overseas, can a doctor in another country fill out any paperwork if necessary for a CDR? Thank you. Yes, DACs, disabled adult child benefits, yes, they do go through CDRs. And overseas, you can submit that evidence, and they will look at it and, check, but not necessarily so, because they don't know the credentials of that doctor overseas or anything like that. They did, may not have passed, the American, a lot of, there is a big thing nowadays of medical tourism. People are having a hard time paying for whatever surgery they need, and they go overseas, to Thailand or India or someplace, and get their surgery done. And and they, for like 10 cents on the dollar, and they're like, I don't want to go over there and get it, some guy that, but the person graduated from, USC or Johns Hopkins or University of Minnesota or something like that, went into residency in, Chicago or Tampa, Florida, did the residency there, became a doctor, but then decided to go back home to Thailand or India or wherever the case may be. So they're fully U.S. certified doctors. So yeah, a lot of people are doing that recently. But yes, disabled adult child benefits still go through DAC. And if you ever get that paperwork, then if you've got medical documentation, and that's all you got, send it in, and they will decide whether they accept whatever. So, I mean, if it's, tests and x-rays and stuff like that, then, that's shouldn't be an issue because they're tests and x-rays. Seems SSA retirement, SSI, SSDI each need separate department staff phone numbers. Wouldn't that reduce all this confusion about finding the right staff specialist to different needs? No, that would just make everything even more complicated because they're already broken up into two, and the Title II and the Title 16. So Title II people do retirement, disability, survivor benefits, spouse benefits, Medicare, and those are workloads that are interconnected. So that's, it's a logical connection. SSI, Title 16 is Supplemental Security Act, and that's the welfare-based Social Security, the welfare program Social Security administers. So yeah, they're broken up logically, but they just don't have the staff. I mean, yeah, that's the issue. William, start Social Security on January 1st, work through February 25, and calculated overpayment. Social Security told me $19.50 a month earnings limit doesn't apply because start on January 1st, only 23. Yeah, it does apply for 12 months. And $19.50 times 12 is $23,400. So yeah, because you started in January, it kind of does apply. Yeah, $23,400 kind of. So we were all warned to switch over our accounts, and at the end of the date for old system was message to my email warning me to change a dozen times. I guess others ignored them or went to junk mail. Yeah, in terms of switching over mysocialsecurity.gov to the new system. And it is a nightmare. It's, they've been updating that mysocialsecurity.gov, your online portal. They've been working on that update for a few years now, and it's a nightmare to get in, but there's a reason it's a nightmare to get in. It's good that it makes it, it's difficult for you. That means it's a million times more difficult than for someone else and somewhere in the world to go in there and pretend to be you and start messing with your stuff. So you just have to go through, some hurdles. And then once you're set up, it protects even more, because if someone goes in there and tries to do something, then you are notified, because then Social Security has your, sends you a text or an email. Hey, someone just tried to go in there. Is that you? And so you can change your, password and stuff like that. So it's a nightmare, but it's a good nightmare. So if you earn $1 million before retiring in May 2025, will SSA and CMS approve a request to eliminate IRMA for 2026 and again for 2027? Does it matter how large your MAGI was prior to exemption from IRMA? So if you earned, over the limit, $1 million definitely over that limit, then you will pay the extra premium for Part B and Part D. But if you earn that from work and then you have since stopped working, yes, that's called a life-changing event. So when you get that IRMA notice that says, hey, we're not going to charge you $185 a month. We're going to charge you, $300 or $400 a month for your Part B and more money for your Part D. It'll have on the bottom of it, it says, if you have had a life-changing event, here's the form, SSA 44. It's called the life-changing event form. Pretty easy to fill out. And you just said, yeah. 2 years ago, I was making $1 million, but I just stopped working, and so I'm not making that money anymore. And they will just go ahead and cancel it out, and you'll pay $185 like everybody else. So if you're on SSDI and I get married, when your husband retires, do you collect on his retirement or continue on SSDI? Both. So you will continue on SSDI, and then you will also be eligible for spouse benefits. If your full benefit amount is less than half of his, then you'll get the difference. So if you're receiving $1,000 from SSDI, you'll continue to get that $1,000 from SSDI. If you're eligible for $1,500 from him, then you'll get your 1,000 minus the 1,500 minus the 1,000. So you get 1,000 from you and then 500 from him. So you'll get essentially 2 checks, but they'll deposit it obviously one day. So it'll be $1,500, 1,000 from you, 500 from him. And because you're still on SSDI, your Medicare will continue. A lot of people decline and they say, oh yeah, I can get more money, but then I'll be switching to spouse benefits or survivor spouse benefits or whatever. And I don't want to lose my disability benefits because I'll lose my Medicare. So many people out there that are losing money because they think that, and it's not true. So please like, subscribe, share. And that way, next month, 3 months from now, we can have someone come in here and say, oh yeah, I just got more money because I thought I couldn't get it. And thanks to you. And I'll say, thanks to our team. I'm applying for Social Security 12/31/25. I'm turning age 62. I asked to apply for widow's benefits and then use my Social Security at 70. Yep, that sounds perfect. And remember, widow's benefits, surviving spouse benefits, widow's benefits, widower benefits, same thing. Social Security calls it surviving spouse benefits. You can start surviving spouse benefits at 60 years old. You don't have to wait till 62 to get that. So, obviously there's work limitations. You have to stay under the, annual earnings limit, the 23,400 or the monthly. But yeah, you can start, as early as 60 years old. And yes, don't touch your own if that's what you choose, and yours will continue to increase. And then when you turn 70, you jump on that, or anytime between now and then, you jump over to your own benefits and you make some more money. And that's always a beautiful thing. Or you don't make more money, you get the money back that you're eligible for, right? All right, I've got just 2 video questions. A couple of other people sent in video questions, but there was no audio. So if you did a video question and I don't answer it right now, then that means your video did not have any audio and we couldn't hear what your question was. So FYI, make sure. When you go on, if you want to ask a video question, you go into mygovexpert.com. The bottom left, it has a little camera icon. You push that and you can record a question or a comment or your experience with whatever. And then I play it usually the next day. But you can also play it back to hear what it sounded like and everything. Make sure you answer the question, you ask the question correctly and stuff. You can play it back immediately, and if you don't like it, you can record it again. So, but make sure there's audio. And please, a lot of people have this really annoying voice in the background playing, and it interrupts everything. And that annoying voice in the background is 99.9%. It's me. You're watching a video and then recording. So turn off that idiot in the background, and so I can hear your beautiful voice ask a question. So, all right, let's see what this young man has to
Mr.
say.
Ed, this is Sajid Aziz from New York. My question is about 401k. If I take money from my 401k account, how that works against my earning test.
Okay, since you specifically said earnings test, it doesn't. Social Security since 1935 has said, hey, Social Security is a three-legged part of the three-legged stool. You got Social Security, you got your pensions, you got your savings. 401k is kind of like a savings. And so Social Security is not going to hold that against you. The only way a 401k is held against you if you're receiving SSI, Supplemental Security Income, the welfare-based program. But that doesn't sound like that's what you're talking about. If you're just talking regular retirement benefits, spouse benefits, surviving spouse benefits, taking money out of 401k, or getting inheritance, or winning $1 billion lottery or anything like that, doesn't affect your Social Security at all, 1 penny.
Hello, Dr. Ed. I have a question about when the trial work period begins. Does it begin on the date that you received your first payment from SSDI, or does the initial date begin when you initially applied for SSDI? For example, say in January 2025, SSDI notifies you and says, okay, we found that you're disabled and we are going to give you, 24 months when you applied initially in January 2023.
Okay, so there's two important points there. Your trial work period begins when you start working. So the first month you go over the trial work period trigger month, and let me pull up my website here, and that is 1,000 for 2025. That's $1,160. So your trial work period. So you go onto my website, click on the disability thing, click on working and benefits, or you can go to ssa.gov. I think my site is a lot easier to understand. I've got a couple of a PDF there, a document that you can read. I've got a calculator there, but the trial work period is what she's talking about. It's triggers the first month. Your gross monthly earnings amount before taxes are taken out are more than $1,160. That's when your trial work period begins. The first month you make more than $1,160, that starts that 9-month trial work period where you can make as much money as you want to see if you're able to go back to work and, maybe get off Social Security, get off disability, which everybody likes. I'm sure you like, and you pay more taxes. So, and you get off disability. So everybody likes it if you're able to get off disability. So, and then after that, so you've got 9 months of that trial work period. And after that, you have what's called the 36 months of extended period of eligibility, where you can still continue to work. You just have to stay under what's called the SGA, substantial gainful activity. This year is $1,620. Okay. And then number two, she mentioned that 24 months. So a lot of people are surprised when they get approved for disability benefits and they've been waiting forever and ever and ever, and you're approved. And then all of a sudden you get a really big check, and that pays back for a year or 2 years that you've been waiting. And if you've been waiting for 2 years and you get that big check, about the same time you get that big check, you're going to get a Medicare card in the mail. I talked about early in the program about, again, getting Medicare after being on disability for 24 months. And people think, oh, but I just got my check today. It was a really big check. It was for 24 months, but I just got it today, so I won't get my Medicare for 2 more years. No, you've technically been on disability for 2 years because you just got your check for 2 years back pay. So your Medicare will start essentially this month. And so a lot of people make the mistake, go out there and they, pay cash out of pocket for seeing a doctor, or they go sign up, some other type of plan or something like that, and they're wasting money all the while they have Medicare Part A and Part B. So many people out there wasted money because they just don't know the system, unfortunately. So I also have to ask about disability. I'm still working with limited duty. Yeah, if you're still working, Social Security defines disability as the inability to work. But as I mentioned, there's that substantial gainful activity. So it's substantially. So if you're working and you're making over $1,620, you can't start your claim. You can file, but they'll deny you immediately because you're making over the $1,620. So the first month you go under $1,620. If that's you, because you're working limited duty, then yeah, a file. And there's also kind of exceptions. There's they can take into consideration on SGA. There's so many exceptions. So if you're working and your boss is paying you regular, but just because you have a nice boss, other people that would do that job would get half as much, but because you're a boss, you've been working there for a long time, your boss is kind of giving you a break and they're paying you a little bit more. You can, sometimes Social Security can use that to justify that, okay, yeah, you are getting more money, but you're getting, it's called a sheltered work. So there are exceptions there. I'm happy I found this channel. I am more knowledgeable now. Thanks, team. Yes, and you are part of the team now, and part of the team means you just don't use this information. Hopefully, you get everything and you're all set yourself, and you can either get more money and more benefits because now you learn about this information, or at the very, very least, you can rest assured that, you don't have to worry that you're not getting what you're eligible for. So that's usually a good thing. It's like, okay, I'm all good. At least I don't have to worry about that anymore. I hear all this crazy stuff on social media about you not getting that. I'm not getting that. I know I'm good. Now I'm going to take all that information and go down the street and talk to that little old lady, or talk to the lady at the restaurant or the barber or whatever the case may be, and make sure everybody else around me is getting what they need as well. And then reach out to the politicians and make sure stupid cuts in the future don't happen. So I think this will be the last question here, unfortunately. Relief Warrior, my question was, when should I call to ask about my ex's amount? He turned 62 in April, but I turned 62 in January. I'm planning on filing for benefits. He made more money than I did. Okay, so you're going to turn 62 in January. You have to be 62 the entire month. So if you weren't born basically on the 1st, then you'll have to wait till February. So it's September. So I would, it's September 7th right now. I would call Social Security now because number one, you're probably going to have to wait a while to set up an appointment. And your appointment won't be until October, November. And that's about the time you can do it, about 3, sometimes 4 months ahead. So if you're looking probably February, then October is fine. So call up now, schedule an appointment. You'll get your appointment in, October, November or something. And that's perfect time. So you're going to go ahead and file for benefits on your own record. And then they will check to see if you're eligible for benefits on his record. If your full benefit amount is less than half of his, you can get ex-spouse benefits on his. So in April, 62 in April, we're talking about April of next year. So if it's April next year, you wouldn't be able to get spouse benefits until he turns 62 the entire month. So same type of thing. So if he's not 62 and, he doesn't turn 62 in, January, or excuse me, April 1st, then he's not eligible for May. So therefore you're not eligible until May. You had to be married since you're ex, you had to be married to him for 10 years. And then if he is not filing for benefits, if he's going to be waiting to file for benefits, doesn't matter. You can get what's called the independently entitled divorced spouse. He doesn't have to be receiving benefits on his own record for you to start receiving benefits on his record. He just has to be at least 62 years old, again, the full month. But in that case, only one addition eligibility requirement. You had to be divorced from him for 2 years. So the final divorce had to be 2 years. So you can start benefits in April or May. If your full benefit amount is less than half, you were married 10 years and you'd have been divorced for 2 years. Okay. And then, so in terms of documentation, you probably won't need your birth certificate on your own. And if everything is correct on your internal record, then you probably won't need your birth certificate. If you're born in the United States and all that stuff, probably won't need your birth certificate. You will need the marriage certificate and the divorce decree to prove the at least 10-year marriage. So start getting that stuff prepared. So other than that, you're doing everything correctly. It's a beautiful thing. Make sure you check your earnings record. And yeah. And other than that, go set up an account, mysocialsecurity.com, MySocialSecurity, SSA.gov, set up a My Social Security account and check your earnings record. Everybody check. So, all right. I'm sorry. I've got a whole bunch of other questions, but we just ran out of time. I will think of some topic tomorrow. And we'll talk about the topic for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then I'll answer a whole bunch of other questions. Y'all have an awesome day. And people coming over from TikTok, I got suspended on TikTok for a few days. TikTok is just useless. Yesterday I was talking about how to prevent scams, and TikTok flagged it and says, you're talking about scams. And I'm like, no, I'm telling people how to prevent scams. But they don't listen. So I got suspended for 3 days. So it's useless. Anyway, so love y'all on YouTube. Y'all take care. And please